Welcome back. We'll jump into this third segment. And the book has, I think there were three questions in there regarding ethical moral leadership, or EML. And the first one says, does ethical moral leadership involve universal values and behaviors, or is it particular to a context? And they say, an example, cultural context. And they jump in and they talk about universalism versus relativism, and it deals with whether a leader believes that there are ethical values, principles that can be applied to his or her actions across context, versus whether such actions depend on the context. So you have, if you're looking at the universalism, basically you're going to take your EML characteristics and just apply them wholesale across whatever leadership opportunity you have. To me, that's maybe a little inflexible. If you go back to I guess that situational leadership, they were talking about inflexible and flexible, but maybe a little inflexible. I've always looked at maybe the flip side of that. And when they were talking about relativism, and because that drives context, and in the text, the authors talk about research in the U.S., leaders with universalism values tend to be perceived as truth versus spin on the truth, cross-cultural context, alcohol, bribery, and some of those are just cultural in nature. Individuals that served in the military in Iraq found that that was just trying to get along with the Iraqis. Bribery and negotiation, that was just part of it. Troops that have been stationed in South Korea, especially if they're stationed side by side with military individuals from South Korea, they find that alcohol, it's just a way of doing business. Individuals, especially in South Korea, just they do business, and it's all based on alcohol. So it depends on your context, and I think it also depends on the context that you're working in. When you're trying to manage a team. And again, I can't stress enough, one of the concepts in this text that I like, it goes back to that effective leadership. Leader, follower, context. And again, here's another opportunity the context raises its head. Second question, who determines what is ethical or moral? For example, in a secular society like the U.S., what should or legally can be the role of religion in determining how ethical moral leadership is practiced or within an organization. They throw out I think a couple of examples, Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby. So can't remember why they threw out Hobby Lobby. But Chick-fil-A, they're not open on Sunday, and that's the owner. That's his prerogative, and it's religious based for him, and he's not. It doesn't appear that he hires or fires based on religious attitudes, but he's just decided we're not going to be open on Sunday, and that's his prerogative. And religious liberty versus secular society. And as long as they throw in there the equal, the EEO, equal employment opportunity laws, and you can't discriminate, with EEO based on religion. So it goes back to, as long as it's an owner's responsibility to make decisions, and especially in the example of Chick-fil-A, and as long as not breaking any EEO guidelines or laws, everything should be fine. The third question, to be an ethical moral leader in an organizational setting, is it necessary that the leader also demonstrate ethical and morality in his or her life or personal statements? Who determines what is ethical, moral in one's personal life? This is where it gets kind of testy to me. You've got, and I don't know how many of you follow sports, but football coach at Michigan State, they're getting ready to pull the plug on him because of a sexual harassment and behavior unbecoming university. And a lot of athletic leaders have those, I call them a morality clause, written into their contracts. And some of them are really straightforward, and some of them are a little on the gray side. What's going to cause embarrassment to your organization? There are certain I know individuals that have been professors at Abilene Christian and Pepperdine, and it's written into their, as a professor, it's written into their contract that if they consume alcohol, it's grounds for termination. And it is a strict if they consume alcohol. They cannot even consume alcohol in the within their own home, with the privacy of their own home. It's written into the contract, and you either, it's something that you can't strike in that contract. And if you sign it, the ramifications if somebody happens to, I don't know, whether peek in your window or stop by to see you and you're having a cocktail, that's grounds for determination if you're turned in. So there are a lot of different issues with being a EML leader, ethical and moral leadership. So I don't know. It gets dicey. To me, it gets dicey as you kind of move forward. So just be aware of that. I mean, most contracts that you sign, they talk about not embarrassing the company, but and a lot of those will fall under those EEO guidelines, or goes back to like the bylaws or the all caveats within the legal document that you sign. But as you get out in the workforce and as you change jobs, and I think it's going to become more and more important to read those contracts that you sign before you sign your name on the dotted line. And then we're gonna talk in a few minutes. I'm going to just give you a brief overview, because as they jump into responsible and accountable leadership, and EML involves being responsible to others, followers, owners, shareholders, customers, greater community, and it can include all of these. And I think the key word is can include. I think it's going to, from the perspective of an EML leader, it's going to depend on the organization that you work with. And it's like if the CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield in Buffalo was accountable to all of these individuals, the followers, the shareholders, owners of companies in the community that we provided healthcare goods and services to their employees, the individual customers, the individual employees that held those healthcare contracts, for lack of a better term, and had, we provided them their benefit plan, and also the greater community in Buffalo. A lot of funds were allocated to charities and projects that improved the well-being of the entire community in Buffalo. So responsible and accountable leadership is extremely important. And I'm going to stop there. And when we come back, we're going to jump into this servant leadership. And it talks about servant and traditional and inverted pyramid. And we're going to kind of wind the chapter up, but I wanted to talk about that just in a segment on its own. Talk to you soon.